Chapter 9. Reproduction in Plants. You will learn importance of reproduction, vegetative propagation, parts of the flower, dispersal of seeds, types of reproduction in plants, tissue culture, fertilization. Reproduction is one of the most important life processes as it assures continuity of species. The process in which young ones are produced of their own kind is known as reproduction. Reproduction helps in multiplying the number of individuals in a population, and it ensures the continuity of life generation after generation. In simple organisms and some plants, a new offspring is produced by the organism from a part of its body. In plants, instead of the term asexual reproduction, the term vegetative reproduction is used frequently. Reproduction in plants is of two types: sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, specialized cells of both male and female of the species unite to reproduce an offspring. Asexual reproduction, they produce new organisms. In asexual reproduction, new generation is genetically identical as their parents. The methods of sexual reproduction in plants are 1. Fragmentation, 2. Spore formation, 3. Budding, 4. Vegetative propagation. 1. Fragmentation. A very common way of reproduction in algae and mosses is fragmentation. The filament of the organism just breaks into two or more fragments by the force of winds of water, but each piece of fragment develops into new individual filament. This is commonly seen in Spirogyra. 2. Spore formation. Spore formation is seen in lower plants like mosses and ferns. When spores of these plants fall on a suitable moist place, they grow into new plant. This is also called asexual reproduction. 3. Budding. It is a method of asexual reproduction in which the parent develops an outgrowth called bud. The bud grows in size and ultimately separates as a new individual. Budding occurs in both unicellular and multicellular organisms. In unicellular fungus, yeast, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae, a bud develops first as a small bud. It is followed by division of the nucleus of the parent cell. One daughter nucleus passes into the bud. The bud grows in size and ultimately separates. However, a parent yeast cell can develop more than one bud. 4. Vegetative propagation. The reproduction of a new plant from its parts other than the seed is called vegetative propagation or reproduction. The parts of plants that can reproduce are runners, rhizome, tubers, offsets, and bulbs, which are all capable of giving rise to new offspring. These structures are called vegetative propagation. Natural method of vegetative propagation. Runners. In this type of plants, the stem grows on the ground horizontally and gives out new branches at every node. Plants grow in soil in all directions, so they are named runners. Runners may break due to injury or decay. The separated plants can grow independently from each other, and this process repeats. For example, lawn grass and mint. Rhizome. It is a perennial fleshy underground stem which continues its growth in soil indefinitely, producing new leaves and branches which come out of the soil during favorable seasons. For example, ginger and turmeric. Tuber. Potato is actually a stem. In potato, the stems closer to the soil bend downwards and store food material for its future use. The small buds on the potatoes are called eyes. Each eye represents the node which can give rise to new plant. Offset. This is seen in aquatic plants like water hyacinth. They arise from one internode as long, small runners. If the offset is eaten up by any aquatic animal, the two plants can live separate, independent of each other. Bulb. It is an underground spherical structure with so many fleshy leaves with a disc-like stem. The lower part of the stem shows fibrous roots. If the stem with little upper portion is cut and put in soil, you will get a new plant. For example, onion. Root tuber. The roots store food material and are used for vegetative propagation. They are sweet potato, asparagus, and dahlia. Propagation by leaves. Some plants reproduce from their leaves. The fleshy leaves bear small buds on their margins at every notch. If you cut the leaf into pieces at every notch and plant them in a soil, you will get that many new plants. Artificial methods of vegetative propagation. Plants can be made to reproduce artificially too. The following are the methods for artificial propagation of plants: cutting, layering and grafting, and the latest method is the tissue culturing. Cutting. In this method, the stems of a healthy plant is selected and cut into pieces. These stem cuttings are then planted and watered regularly. For example, rose, bougainvillea and sugarcane. Layering. In this process, the old lower branches of a plant are bent towards the ground and covered with soil, and a weight can be put over the soil. After few weeks, roots develop from the covered portions. The branch is then cut and separated from the mother plant. For example, jasmine, as many branches can be bent to get many new plants. Grafting. It is developed to grow plants which take many years to mature. It is an art of horticulturists to develop plants or fruit trees. The process to join two different plant parts is called grafting. The lower part with root system is known as stalk, and the upper one, the desired or chosen branch, is known as scion. Tie it firmly and cover it with a cloth and wet the cloth at regular intervals. Finally, the stalk and the scion will be joined together to be one plant. Other examples of plants grown by grafting are grow a rose, lemons and oranges. Tissue culture. It is also known as micropropagation because in this method a very small piece from the plant of your choice is taken. This is called explants. Removed from plant. It is cultured outside artificially to get numerous plants. This method is done for expensive plants like cycas and orchids. In artificial methods of vegetative propagation, the advantages are: 1. It takes less time for producing new plants. 2. They produce genetically same type plants with similar features. So, if you use a very healthy plant with extraordinary features, it can be replicated. 3. Large number is produced in a very short time. 4. Some plants never produce seeds as in rose and banana since they are made to reproduce in this manner. 5. It is cheaper and easy. Sexual reproduction. This type of reproduction involves two parents, the male and the female, to produce a young one. Gametes fuse together to form a single unit. The reproductive organ for sexual reproduction in plants is the flower. Bisexual and unisexual flower. If the male and female organs are present in the same flower, the flower is said to be bisexual flower. If only female or male parts are present in the flower is said to be unisexual flower. Flower. Flower has 4 layers called whorls in it. The outermost is the sepals. These are usually green in color. They protect the flower when it is in the bud form. Sepals together as a group are known as calyx. The next whorl is that of petals. Petals together are called corolla. The corolla is colored. Its main function is to attract the insects. Calyx and corolla are known as non-essential organs. Male organs are called stamens. Stamens are made up of a filament and anthers. The stamens together are called androecium. The filament is a tube-like structure. At the end is anther. Anther has yellow powder-like substance called pollen grains which form the male gametes of the plant. The female organs are stigma, style and ovary. These together are called gynoecium or pistil. The style is a tubular structure in the center of flower. It ends in ovary. Ovary contains one or many ovules or eggs. These are the female gametes. Pollination. The transfer of the male gametes from an anther of a flower to the stigma of the flower is known as pollination. If the pollination occurs within the same flower, it is known as self-pollination. If it is between two different flowers of the same plant or of two different plants belonging to the same species, it is known as cross-pollination. Pollination leads to fertilization. Agents of pollination. The living or non-living things that help in pollination are known as agents of pollination. They are of two types. Biotic agents. The living things that help in pollination are known as biotic agents. They are insects such as bees, butterflies, beetles, wasps, and moths. Birds like sunbirds and hummingbirds, bats, and even elephants help in pollination. Insect-pollinated or bird-pollinated flowers show the following characters. 1. The flowers are attractive and brightly colored. 2. If the flowers are small, they are grouped to form a cluster to attract the agents. 3. They produce nectar as a floral reward. 4. They produce scent. Bird-pollinated flowers produce more nectar. Such flowers are tubular and they often have strong scent apart from all the above points. Fascinating fact, hummingbird is a small bird, the size of your thumb, but it can carry nectar more than its weight. Abiotic agents. Non-living agents like wind and water which help in pollination are abiotic agents. The flowers need not be showy nor have bright colors. They do not produce scent or nectar. They are usually small and white but produce large amount of pollen grains which are light and dry. So that they are easily carried out in wind or in water. The stigmas are long and sticky to receive the pollen grains. Some examples of wind-pollinated plants are rice, wheat, and maize, and water-pollinated plants are Vallisneria, Zostera, and Hydrilla. Fertilization. The pollen grains after falling on stigma develops a pollen tube. The pollen travels through the pollen tube and reaches the ovule. The pollen nucleus fuses with the nucleus of the egg or ovule. The fusion of the male and female gametes is known as fertilization. Fertilization results in a single unit called the zygote. Zygote undergoes rapid cell divisions and becomes embryo which later forms a seed. The ovary itself forms fruit. The petals of flowers and other parts dry and fall off. The fruit is formed after fertilization takes place. Its seed, when germinated, produces a baby plant or seedling. Slowly, baby plant grows into a mature plant. Changes in a flower after fertilization. Let us see the changes that take place in the flower after fertilization. 1. Calyx and corolla dry up and fall off. 2. Stigma and style fall off. 3. Ovary develop into fruits. 4. Ovules develop into seeds. 5. Stalk of the flower becomes the stalk of the fruit. Sometimes calyx remains on the fruit as in tomato and brinjal. The seeds developed from the ovule show the following parts. 1. Cotyledons stores the food for the growing baby plant. 2. Plumule gives rise to shoot system. 3. Radicle gives rise to root system. Wonder why brinjal, tomato and bitter gourd are called fruits? Can you guess the reason? Hint, fruits develop from ovaries of the flower of the plant. Fruit. The fruit is formed as a result of ripened ovary of the flowering plants. Fruits may be fleshy and juicy as in mango and orange or dry and hard like walnut and almond. In apple, the fruit is very small and insignificant. The thalamus or the receptacle of the flower becomes fleshy and resembles fruit. That is why apple is known as false fruit. Seed dispersal. Seeds are not dispersed and if they fall under the mother plant, they cannot grow because they cannot get enough sunlight and there will be competition for space, light, water and minerals. So, to increase the chance of survival, they are dispersed to different places where they can survive properly. There are various ways in which seeds get dispersed. These take place with the help of dispersal agents. Seeds can disperse by means of agents like wind, water, and animals. Some seeds do not need any agents. They just explode to disperse their seeds. Dispersal by wind. Seeds of certain plants are of light weight and they may have hair or wings to make them disperse through wind. Example, seeds of drumstick and maple have wing-like structure to fly. Cotton, silk cotton and sunflower seeds have hair on them to move easily in wind. Dispersal by water. The seeds of plants growing in and around the water bodies like rivers and seas disperse their seeds through water. Coconut. Though it is big in size, it can float on water due to the air trapped in its fibers. So, they can easily be carried out through water. Dispersal through animals. Most of the fruits like mango, guava and orange are eaten by man and monkey. After eating, we throw the seeds in different places far off from the mother plant. Parrots and squirrels also eat the fruits. The undigested seeds are scattered through their dropping far off from the mother plant and germinate there. Some seeds like xanthium seeds have hooks which can be carried away through our clothes or stick to the skin of other animals like cattle or dogs to reach different places. Self-explosion. Fruits of pea, ladyfingers and many types of beans, if left on the plant, dry up and burst to liberate their seeds at great distance from the mother plant. They do not need any agent to disperse their seeds. Real life connect. Take some dry seeds of chana dal in a small beaker labeled A. Take same quantity of chana dal in beaker B and soak them for few hours. Now wrap the soaked seeds in moist cotton and put them in a warm place. After 24 hours, what are your observations in beaker A and B? Subject integration. Asexual reproduction of plants plays an important role in agriculture and horticulture. In artificial methods involve some level of human manipulation. Some of these methods, just like advantage of natural vegetative propagation method, that plants use or accelerate them. Skills and values. Propagation of plants is involved science and art in a skillful way. Basic knowledge and skill of propagation can enable to understand production technology by natural and artificial methods. Students also understand micropropagation and selection of desired planting material. Rapid review. 1. Reproduction is an important life process which helps in maintaining the population of any species. 2. The two types of reproduction in plant are sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Asexual is by means of vegetative propagation. 3. The types of vegetative propagation are many. It may be through runners, rhizomes, bulbs, offsets or tubers. 4. Artificial propagation is by means of cutting, layering, grafting or by tissue cultures. 5. Sexual reproduction takes place through flowers which contain male and female organs. The male are stamen and the female are pistil. 6. Stamen produces pollen grains. The male gametes and female produces female gametes. They are egg or ovary. Transfer of pollen grains from anthers to stigma is known as pollination. If the pollination is within the same flower, it is called self-pollination, and if it is in between two different flowers, it is known as cross-pollination. Fusion of male and female gametes is known as fertilization, resulting in a zygote. Zygote grows into an embryo and then to a seed. Seed on germination gives rise to a baby plant. 10. The ovary becomes a fruit. Some fruits are fleshy, juicy, and some are dry and some are used as vegetables. 11. Seeds are dispersed in several ways, maybe by wind or water or even by animals. Some seeds are spread to long distance from the mother plant just by bursting of a fruit. Key points. Vegetative propagation. Reproduction of a new plant from its part other than the seed. Sexual reproduction. Specialized cells of both female and male of the species unite to reproduce an offspring. Fertilization is the fusion of the male and female gametes. Zygote, unit formed from combination of male and female gamete. Pollination, the transfer of male gametes from anther of flower to stigma of the flower. Self-pollination, transfer of male gametes from anther of a flower to stigma of the same flower. Cross-pollination, transfer of male gamete from anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower of the same plant or another plant. Fill in the blanks.